And now, it's time for learning more about our lives as students, our body as humans, and our future as happy, healthy people. The APU and AUV Podcast Network presents the Student Health and Happiness Podcast with your host, Russell Freeman.
Welcome, everyone, to our Student Health and Happiness Podcast. I'm Russell Freeman. I'm a professor of health sciences at American University in Vietnam and a chiropractic physician from the United States. This is episode 3 of our Work-Life Balance series, How to Create Your Best Lifestyle. And in our first section, we discussed what is a lifestyle and what does it mean to have a balanced lifestyle. In our second section, we talked about the kind of thinking and lifestyle types that we have to choose from and that we go through during our lives and as we evolve. And in our third episode, we're going to look for the answer to our last question with our guest, Mr. Michael Hayes. Michael is our student counselor at American University and APU. Michael, welcome back.
Hey, nice to see you, Russell.
When we left our last episode, we were discussing retiring into something as one of the things to consider when you're starting off on your career and seeking work-life balance. Why? Because it's hard to just start balancing your life after 40 years of doing it in an unbalanced way. So it's best to start off with your decision-making and how do you create a balanced life as you go. So this is an evolutionary process. I call it transitioning or retiring into something, but let's reverse engineer this. And Michael, my question to you is, how do you start off early with creating work-life balance so that when you're later in life, you can live and retire comfortably into something?
Well, going to school and balancing a busy school life schedule, 6 periods, 7 periods a day, playing sports, being involved in student council, perhaps being an active member of a family, being a brother, being a sister, all those things are good opportunities to start to practice these skill sets. And once you have mastered sort of high school and transitioned into university, you'll learn more about balancing and you'll have opportunities to take risks, and you'll probably meet with some failures. So you'll learn to also develop skills where you redesign yourself, reinvent yourself so that you can continue to go forward. And then as you work through your life and you approach retirement age, you're right. You don't want to wait until you're looking at retirement to think about a balanced lifestyle because then you've missed the boat already and it's too late.
Well, there's 2 ways, I guess, to engineer your lifestyle, if I can use that term. One is to plan early and then live your plan, and the other is freestyle. Without planning, basically you're looking for different markers for decision making. That was my lifestyle, and I've known you for a while now, and I think that was probably your lifestyle. True, you've evolved through several different careers. You've been different things to different people in different places for your whole life, and me too. So this idea of transitioning is easy for people like us because we do it as it's our nature to go from one thing to another and enjoy that adjustment process. But for other people, it's more of a experience of, I would call it reinvention. It's more drastic, where you don't become a different person, but the who you are stays the same, but the what you are and what you do can change a lot. And so how does somebody, first of all, figure out which is the best lifestyle? Should they be planning or should they be freestyle? I guess that's a self-knowledge thing. And the other is, how do people reinvent themselves when they've been one way for such a long time and they got to change their job or their culture or something?
Well, for a lot of people, that reinventing of themselves often comes from a large life event. Perhaps someone has died, maybe they're going through a divorce, maybe their career is being downsized or eliminated totally. There's a lot of careers that are going away. So suddenly they're forced into action. And if you haven't developed or honed those skills that you learned in school, particularly in high school and university, where every semester you have a new class, a new teacher, you have new obligations, you have new people to strive to get good grades from. If you haven't honed those skills during those years, if you're suddenly forced into it, like in the auto industry, currently in the United States is going through some downsizing. The high-tech industry is downsizing. Lots of people are being laid off, and they're forced to. So you can either be in charge and hone the skills where you can transition easily or with greater agility and comfortableness, where you're open to change, or you can be forced into it, and it can be really painful and, quite life-threatening if you're not careful.
I think for those that I would call freestylists, as we discussed,
Sure.
like you and I, it's really not a difficult question. It's just what we do. And that's one of the reasons we do it, is we enjoy that process. But I think for people that are planners, the two key words here are going to be flexibility and adaptability. You need to be flexible with your choices and with your options, and also you need to be adaptable. As things change, you need to change too. Sometimes things change to a degree they're uncomfortable, and that may be an exit strategy for you, or a kind of a signal that it's time for you to make a move.
Yeah, and I like that word, adaptable. That's a really great skill to have, is you're adaptable, and particularly in the world nowadays where we're all very interconnected, particularly with social media and the internet. You're going to work with people from all over the planet. You're going to go to school with students from other parts of the world. So your ability to adapt and communicate and work with others who have a different perspective or a different outlook is really a skill set that's probably more important than a lot of things that are currently being taught in schools.
Now, what we're discussing is adapting to changes that are happening around you. But what about the priorities that evolve for our lives internally as we age, adapting to ourselves? I see 7 stages in life, and I'm going to hopefully not bore you by telling you what they are.
Sure.
These changes of life, for me, have caused career priority shifts.
Okay.
And it's especially in the way I think, and the way I think drives the way I act. So the first stage was pre-work, and that's when I was in school, developing hobbies, interests, seeking role models, and that kind of thing. Stage 2, I was entering the working world in the job market for the first time. I was all ears. Stage 3 is career direction and development. I had an idea. I think I want to go this way, at least to start off. Stage 4 was trying to get to a higher professional and level of business success based on myself. My stage 3 choice was trying to get good at what I decided in stage 3. Stage 5 was trying to work more smart than hard, and trying to start to see some returns from the work that I was doing. Mm-hmm. And I would say it was in my late 30s or 40s that I achieved that stage. Number 6 would be succession and legacy planning, pre-retirement thoughts. I've got 10 more years to work. How do I want to spend them? How do I want to end up with the most at the end of 10 years?
Right.
So I have to understand, well, what do I want to be in 10 years? And then at the next 10 years, what do I want to do? That's going to affect my choice now. And the last is retiring from something, but not liking to be bored, retiring into something else. So considering these evolving priorities, how does an individual evaluate where they are and what the best choices are for them at that time, not 20 years ago, but then for that time and for their future from that point forward?
Wow, that's a big question. You've got sort of 7 stages there. I think for our students at APU or AUV, school, again, is just such a great opportunity to develop those skills of reflection and where they can look towards the future, and based on what they've been successful with or they enjoy, they can mold themselves into something they want to be going forward. It's a lifelong journey, and I know our students benefit from these podcasts, and I look forward to talking further with you about this subject.
How important are hobbies and that kind of thing?
Very important, yeah. So hobbies help you define who you are, and they bring pleasure to your life. Hobbies will also help you socialize and meet people and help you develop other skill sets in addition to that activity that will help serve you well in life as you continue on.
I think more and more people nowadays are also choosing jobs and lifestyles that they feel will suit them in the future as compared to just making the money now. Would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's not just about the money.
Okay, good. So let's summarize some of the key points from our 3-part episode here. How can a busy person with a lot of commitments work towards a life-work balance now and in the future? I think that there are 3 main things. The first is to have high-value free time, that you need to do the work of your lifestyle, not just while you're working or taking care of your family, but you need to develop your passions, your interests, and maybe even find something that could become a business for you in the future. The second thing is to create a lifestyle-friendly business for yourself if you're going to be an entrepreneur.
Yep.
If you're going to work for someone else, create a hobby that can become a lifestyle-friendly business, something that you love to do that can generate either a level of service or income that you'll appreciate later in life. And the third is to adjust and negotiate your job and your lifestyle as you go, and not wait for these big life changes to happen to you. Would you like to add or comment on any of those 3 things?
Those are certainly 3 really good suggestions, and something that students and people in their careers need to contemplate well in advance as much as possible.
Thanks, everyone, for attending our episode today. We hope that you've gotten some good ideas for graceful living and aging through adapting and reinventing yourself, and found something in this program that you can actually use and share with someone else. We'll look forward to seeing you in our next episode, and thanks so much for living your healthiest and happiest lifestyle. Bye now.
Bye-bye.